So it's almost surprising how this next book became such a monster hit that it did. It's an autobiography, and it's a book that I absolutely rattled through. I could not put down. Everybody has to read it. For me at least, it was a total surprise, the different storytelling that it takes you through. It's almost like listening to an uncle tell you about his trials, his tribulations, what worked, what didn't, all the way back from the high school days and just starting out and some of those initial struggles that he dealt with trying to start what turned out to be his business and his enterprise. I found it really hard to put this book down. The storytelling was so good, so surprising, just how well it really did read, and what we know about this person and just the company that he's built. You would expect to know a lot of these stories, but what we hear is a lot of the backstory, a lot of the starting out, a lot of the younger years, things that haven't been shared before, which makes it super refreshing and super enlightening even for the biggest super fan of this person and this company. And some of the details and stories that he goes into is just the foundation for what turned into be one of the most iconic consumer brands and enterprises that the world knows today. A brand that has so many loyalists around the world and so many connective tissues to what we do and what we see and what we interact with from our day-to-day that you would have no idea about without reading this book. The author tells a really personal story about his first growing up, his travelings to foreign countries, his time as an athlete in college and how that shaped this company and overall him as a person, his legendary coach and mentor that became an iconic and integral part of this company and this brand as well. One of the most intriguing parts of this story is how this young boy literally traveled across the world, went to Japan, represented himself and his company to a larger manufacturer. These folks in Japan who were top businessmen did not know that it was just this one kid, his dad investor, and a name of a company, as he had represented it to be something much bigger. And just that itself and the starting point of that foundation and turning it into what ended up being what it is today is just so fascinating, and just how deep and rich you actually get into the interweavings of how this all happened and how the puzzle pieces stuck together. It is amazing, and I cannot recommend it enough. So the book is Shoe Dog, if you couldn't figure it out by now with all the Nike references. 2016, it just came out, and a lot of people were buying it as soon as it did come out. So if you haven't already read it, you absolutely have to, 100%. I have not heard one bad thing about this book from those that have read it. It's probably the quickest book I've ever read, just because the storytelling was that good. And I know so much about Nike. I consider myself not like a fanboy, but I'm a brand loyalist. I wear the stuff, I love it. I am never upset with anything that I get from it. So the context that I have for the company, I've got a good understanding of what happened. And I learned so much just from this book because it tells a lot of the story that people have never heard before. If you're a Nike guy or gal, check out Nike gear.